What's up? Welcome back. I'm George. This is the Model Railroad Show, and in today's video, we're talking about what rolling stock is perfect for your small layout. So yeah, the 40-foot boxcar, man. The 40-foot boxcar is probably the best piece of rolling stock you can use, especially if you are on a small layout. Number of reasons for this. All right. For one, if you have a smaller layout, you're going to have tighter curves, and shorter cars look better on tighter curves, hands down. And the reason is because longer cars get this thing we call overhang. You can see, the track outside the car, and it overhangs inside the curve. It just, doesn't look great. Years ago, they would talk about this being a reason for derailment. I think with today's couplers and how the trains run today, I don't feel like if you run a 60-foot boxcar on a 9 3/4 inch radius curve or, a tighter curve, I don't feel like they're going to derail anymore. At least to my experience, they haven't. But the 40 footers just actually look better. Let's be honest, most of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are, modeling that transition era. So whether you're from the 30s to the 40s, 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, 40-foot boxcars were around for a long time in railroading. They cover a wide variety of eras and a wide variety of railroad names. You'll see here I've got a Reading, I got a Western Maryland, I got a Delaware and Hudson. I didn't pick a Pennsylvania shorty out here just to show you that I do have some other stuff. And what I have down here in front of me is I have 4 60-footers, which are, I have 60-footers. I have a mix of stuff on my model railroad, and I've got 3 40-footers with a tanker, a gondola, and a caboose. So we'll get to that later, but I have this out in front of me just to kind of give you an idea of what these cars actually look like lined up next to one another. All right, because to see a 40-footer and a 60-footer side by side, it doesn't look like a huge difference, but when it does become a huge difference is when you have a small railroad and you're building like a shorter siding, that 40-footer is going to look much better on that siding. You can also use a smaller space if you need to off-spot a car during operations. Again, just a shorter car, it's going to look better in a smaller space. There might be instances where you can get 2 40-footers on a siding where you can only get 1 60. The other thing is more trains in a smaller space. Obviously, what I have here is I have 5 cars in a caboose set up as opposed to 4 larger box cars. And if you have a small railroad, this, your little Pike Railroad, this 5 cars and a caboose being pulled by a locomotive is going to look so much better on that layout than 3 or 4 60-footers and an engine and a caboose, right? So it is just, you're talking about 6 cars here. I mean, that's a nice local freight, a realistic local freight, even on your small layout. So yeah, I mean, that to me, those are the big things. I like the 40-footers. I've always been partial to 40-footers. I have a freight house on my model railroad here, and freight houses, especially when you look at some of the older freight houses, they used all 40-footers because what they would do is they would line these cars up to the dock, and then that next track they would line the second track of box cars even with the doors so that they just laid wood planks across and they could unload, 2 or 3 tracks deep onto one loading dock. That's why you see some of that uniformity. So if you're modeling that type of a freight house, 40-footers may be key. I only rotate 40-footers through my freight house, basically for that reason, to give me that level of realism. Now, you're not just stuck to 40-foot box cars. There's other shorter rolling stock out there. Just like I have here, this tank car, right? These tank cars are short. They're actually probably shorter than the box cars, maybe the same wheelbase, but they look great on a layout. They're a distinctive car. They carry distinctive cargo, whether it's, some kind of chemicals, propane, heating oil, especially if you're in modeling the 40s and 50s. Heating oil would be good if you have industries. I have ceramics, a ceramics plant, a porcelain plant on there. So obviously I need tank cars. I also have a food factory on there, the Taylor Provisions, Taylor Pork Roll. If you know, you know. So there's a lot of different industries that once you start researching industries, you can have tank cars parked at. If you're modeling anywhere in the Northeast or almost any time in the 50s and the 40s, open gondolas. And these short open gondolas, they hauled coal. There were some that were just ore. You could get covered gondolas. Again, I mean, you can put all kinds of stuff in a gondola. The covered gondolas, feed, all kinds of things they put in a covered gondola. I don't have a covered gondola here, but I do have a lot of open gondolas, both these shorties and the 60 footers, the 4 bays and the 2 bays. Cabooses also short. I have an unhealthy obsession with Pennsylvania Railroad N5s. This is a very cool Bowser here. It's got the radio antenna on it. Little smokestack. Love this one. They're kind of delicate, so you got to be careful with them. Love them, but again, short, right? Not the long. Sometimes you see those little longer cabooses. So you're talking about 5 freight cars and a caboose and a locomotive on a small layout. Trust me on this, it will look better. It'll also allow you to have more cars on the layout to, switch more. All right. So I know it's a little bit of a quick hitter here. I got some 60 footers. If you haven't seen the video where I weathered this Pennsylvania Railroad boxcar, I will link that below. It's kind of lengthy, but basically it's the entire process I used to weather that car. And I found this baby recently. If you're into cool box cars, this is an automobile box car. I'm going to do an entire video on this because I feel like in model railroading, these are very misunderstood about what their actual application was. So we can get into those in a later video, but I just wanted to show you what the comparison was, what these things look like side by side. If you have tight curves, if you have that type of thing, stick with the shorter stuff. Like I said, my name's George. This is the Model Railroad Show. Hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and ring the bell so you know when I upload content. And let me know if you think I'm crazy down in the comments if you're still here watching. All right? I'll catch you in the next one.